So it was February 26th. It was about 8 years ago, I think. There was a storm and everyone was sledding. We had a day off from school. So my brother went to his friend Danny's house to go sledding, but I stayed in. I went to my friend Nicole's house. I wasn't there, but he got into a really bad accident and his brain was bleeding and his skull cracked open. And he was in a coma for 4 days and he was in the hospital for months. And he was in a rehab center for years. But the day of, I realized something was different about me. When I was at Nicole's house, my parents wouldn't tell me anything. They just kept saying I have to stay. Even though it was a school night, I just had to stay. And I knew something was wrong with my brother. Something was just telling me that he got in an accident. And I just knew that, and I didn't know how I knew. And the next morning at school, my parents told me that he did get in a sledding accident and he's in the hospital. I just thought it was weird because before I fell asleep that night, I had a feeling. The reason why he's alive is because of this police officer named Benny. When he got in the accident and my parents took him to the hospital, my dad was speeding and he was taking him to Hackettstown Hospital, which is like 5 minutes from me. Benny, who was just in like a normal car, pulled over my dad, like waved him down and said, like, what's wrong? Like, why are you speeding? What's going on? Like the most random thing. And my dad was like, my son got in an accident. We don't know what's wrong, but he's like losing consciousness. And Benny said, go to Morristown Hospital because Hackettstown doesn't have like head surgeries or anything. So they went to Morristown and they saved his life. After Benny pulled them over, they didn't get his information or anything. He just drove off and that was it. And they had no clue who he was. So they always called him his guardian angel. I was really young when this happened and I had no clue who Benny was. I just have heard about him. That year, my brother threw the opening pitch at the Little League game because he was like finally rehabilitated and he could play baseball again because my brother loved baseball. But when we were walking there, we were in the parking lot of my elementary school and there was just this like tall man walking in front of me. I was young, I didn't know any adult really, but something about him, I don't know why, but I just knew, I knew that was Benny, which didn't make any sense because all I saw was the back of him. But he was walking in front of us and I tugged on my mom's shirt and I said, like, Mom, that's Benny. And she looked at me and she said, what? Like, what are you talking about? And I said, like, tap on his shoulder, like, that's Benny. And she did. And she said, are you Benny Perez? And he said yes, and she just started hysterically crying. And I was just like, what? Like, how did I know that? But I did.